All right, going live, live. Let's start this one too. Making sure everything is good. All right, definitely should be live, should be good to go, should be ready to go. Let me just make sure. All right, man, what is going on, family? Welcome, welcome. If this is your first time here, uh, welcome to the show, man. If this is not your first time here, welcome back. Unique view, I see you first in on the scene, trying something completely new tonight. As always, I'm always trying something new, something different. Thank you, Unique View, because that was going to be my next question. Can you see me? Can you hear me? I'm not utilizing this mic tonight, so we're not utilizing this one. I also got a new shotgun mic, testing that out, so hopefully you can hear me just clearly. And here's the thing, what's new or what's going to be different tonight is the fact that I am going to be streaming not only to YouTube, but to Facebook. So hopefully people on Facebook should be able to see this live. They probably not expecting a whole lot of traction because I really didn't tell nobody because I'm testing it out. Just going to kind of hit the replay. If anybody's joining from Facebook, welcome. I'm trying to manage both here. I'm trying to see if I can see it live on Facebook and while I'm looking at the live stream on YouTube. Man, so let's give ourselves some times to get in, get comfortable, because tonight we are talking about wealth accumulation. All right, yep. Looks like I should be live right on Facebook. Good. Okay, so for my Facebook people, if you're just coming in, do understand I cannot see comments right now, or at least until they actually come to my iPad and I can send them here on the screen. So let me go on and make sure that that's working. I'm going to send out Unique Views comment here. So we're going to send it and see if it comes through. There it is, yep. Okie dokie. No, that didn't work the way I wanted to. Let me set up the social. Oh, nope. I'm sorry. That is going to be trigger overlay 4. Yep, okay. So why it didn't do that? Well, technology doesn't always work the way we want it to. So trigger overlay 4. Perfect. That's what it should be. Oh, I got to turn YouTube on. Nope, didn't want to do that. All right, so maybe YouTube comments ain't going to work like we want them to tonight. There they are. It should be on, okay. We could try it again. Let me see here. No, I don't know what's going to happen there, so we shall see. Take it off. Technical issues. Don't you gotta love things when you're dealing with technology? Let me try something else. I guess it just don't want to work. Yep, just don't want to work. Let me try something completely different. No, all right. Well, I guess we just gonna be having the issues with the social media tonight. I'm gonna take this off, put this here back on channel 1. Look at that. Oh, I guess you guys know my name by now. Looking at the comments here, let me try. I can't get YouTube on. Let's try it again. Man, so while we getting this set up here, Sketches to Design, good to see you again. Unique View first on the scene. Good evening to you. Auntie Gail in the building. Glad to see everybody here. Michelle Anderson, welcome back. JC Roberts, talking about what is that? The best life insurance policies, or what do I think about life insurance? I think it is something that is absolutely needed, something that is good. That's from JC Roberts. Give me cornbread back in the building. Philly D, what is going on? I'm gonna get this one more try to see if this is going to work the way I want it to. Right? Let me see here. I'm gonna just try to send one and see if it works. No, it doesn't. So I don't know what's going to happen tonight. Trying to determine what's going on with overlays and things like that. So fix it. It flies in. Duration. Okay. Have that set. Overlay channel. All right. So anyway, that may not work, but I got a few other things I'm going to try to go in here. So let's look. I'm going to show y'all what I got going on. So part of one of my toys is I have this Elgato Stream Deck. You got to just press button and magic things happen. So we got a lot to talk about. Not going to mess around with the technology. I'm going to go ahead and cue the intro video and we'll be back. Did you like that, man? That was a little toy I've been playing around with, getting fairly excited, messing around with all this new production. Again, just trying to step up the live, because sitting here with me just staring at me for a while, I know it can seem kind of boring, so I wanted to maybe take it up a couple of notches. I could even cue some intro music, you know what I'm saying? We could get busy. Y'all hear that? Yeah. I ain't gonna dance. I was told, my wife told me don't dance, but you know the sound, it just sounds good. You know what I'm saying? Let me stop that. Let me turn that off. Let me turn that off. So welcome to the Self-Employed Tax Guys live viewing, man. This is my ninth. This is our ninth session. Wow, 9 weeks. I never thought I'd be able to do something as consistent as this. 9 weeks. I really just couldn't see past my own vision, but thank you to all of you who have tuned in from the first week to now. It's because of you that this is being made possible. Super excited to just to be here again, streaming both live to YouTube and Facebook, trying to see how that's gonna go, seeing how comments is going to fly in. I was going to try to share comments, but I'm not quite sure how that's going to work here. So just because it flew across the screen so many times, I'm going to press a button and introduce myself. Tyrone Gregory, the self-employed tax guy, also known as your favorite uncle cousin. So yeah, but that flew across the screen already so many times, so you know exactly who that was. And then you got to worry about that there. So tonight, don't have a lot of time, a lot of things to cover. We're going to talk about wealth accumulation from a tax perspective, right? When you think about any and everybody who's wealthy, who's rich, who has it going on, when we think about those individuals, we're looking at this from a tax perspective. So when we think about the Bill Gates, the Donald Trumps, the people who are wealthy in the U.S., can't talk about globally, I'm only going to talk about U.S., do you know they all file the same exact tax return as you and I do, right? There's nothing special. There's no secret club. There's no secret something happening for them individuals. The extremely wealthy here in the U.S. file the same exact tax return as you and I. And you may be wondering, well, why is that important? It's important because we're going to look at some of the income streams and how they do it from a tax perspective. I'm going to go through and we're going to take a look at the actual 1040 and look at some of the entries that the wealthy use. What lines are the wealthy use to reporting their income? Can we also get on those lines? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. But before we get into this, hold on, let me see something. Let me try this again. There we go. Now it's working. JC Roberts says, call Tyrone. You better call Tyrone. I'm the one you call. I'm the one you go to. But real quick, I want to ask a question. I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to be looking for your comments in this as well. And the question is this. Would you rather take your money, your hard-earned money, the money that you worked for 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day, the money that you earned, would you rather put that in a place where you are guaranteed to lose it, right? Meaning that as soon as you put your money in that place, it's gone. It's done. It's lost. You probably won't ever see it again, right? Would you rather put your money in that place, or would you rather put your money in a place where there's at least a possibility that it can grow? Meaning that your money that you put in this place can possibly make you more money, right? So the choices are, again, I'm waiting on your answers. Would you rather put your money in a place where you are absolutely, positively, without a doubt, guaranteed to lose it? Or would you want to put your money in a place where at least three things will happen? Either, there's still the possibility that you can lose it, right? But the second possibility is it will make you lots of money, or the third possibility is you'll break even, and when everything is said and done, you'll still have that same amount available to you. So you go ahead. I'm going to wait for the comments to get in here, okay? Wow, let me see this here. JC Roberts, what? Twerking? What are we twerking because we get ready to get some money? We excited? What are we twerking for here? Man, let's see here. Oh, yeah. A few people liking this shirt. Man, I kind of live by this. This is definitely something that I agree to. Success is hard. Being broke is harder. Okay. All right. Still waiting on those comments to come in. What would you rather do? Put your money in something that's guaranteed you'll lose it, or put your money in a place where at least outside of losing, it's a possibility you'll break even, or you'll be able to make your money grow. And while you're doing that, real quick, man, just came to mind. I want to give a shout out to my beautiful mother. My mother has always watched every single video that I produced. And recently she told me that she's been watching the lives video, but she hasn't quite figured out how to get into the comments. So I just really want to give a shout out to my mom's, who is a recent breast cancer survivor. She's a strong individual, and when she was going through, she never once looked like she was going through something. And I just appreciate and love her. For the matter of fact, I'm going to give Moms a hand clap, a round of applause for her doing what she did, how she did it, going through. She's currently going through radiation right now, and is making her real fatigued, which is, much as I appreciate, I'm about to put you, I don't know if she's watching. Mama, I love if you're watching. But she hard-headed too. She don't want to sit down. She don't want to be still. Going through the radiation, survived breast cancer, cool. Going through radiation is making her tired, but she don't want to sit down. Even though she has two strong young sons that's willing to do any and everything, she refuses to let us do what we need to do. So, maybe that's where I get my tenacity from, but because I don't like to sit down and do anything. I'd rather do it myself. So maybe that's where I get it from. But shout out to my moms. Hopefully she's watching. That's my girl. Love it. Love you guys. So yeah. So let's see here. Lots of comments coming in. Let's take a look and see. Sketches to Design says, would rather the second option, right? Want to put just money in somewhere and make it grow. Rock says here, let's see, we're going to send this one here. Oh, did it go? There we are. Much love to your moms for fighting. Yes, super survivor, man. So again, moms, hope you're watching. Me and the family loves you. We support you that you've done that. Let's see here. Let's see what else we got. So, strength from within. Strength, sending this to the screen, says, want to make it grow. Okay, a lot of people want to make it grow. Unique View says, the second one, okay, got you. Everybody want to do it in there later, okay. Let me see, go back here. So, Oh, we have somebody from Facebook. Look, this is going to be interesting. So now I can bring comments from Facebook into here. So Monica Edwards, prayers and blessings to moms, much appreciated. Welcome, Facebook family. Again, this is new. Live streaming to both YouTube and Facebook at the same time, trying to get everybody in here so we can go ahead and get to this. So let's talk about that. Now, the only difference, like a lot of people in the comments have stated that they'd rather put their money somewhere where it's going to not only have an option of being lost, but it is going to have an option to at least grow, right? Have your money make you money, or at least at the end of the day, break even, okay? That's what a lot of people said that. And so it can be done. The difference between being rich and being wealthy is mindset, okay? When you're rich, if you look at the definitions, right? Because if rich and wealth were the same thing, it would only be one term, one definition. But because we have two terms, two definitions, they are different, right? When you look up the term rich, rich means that you have money. Okay, you have a lot of money. You have more money than somebody else. My kids think I'm rich, and it's probably because I have more money than them, but does that make me the same rich as Bill Gates? Absolutely not, right? So being rich is a perception, okay? It does mean you do have a lot of money, more money than the next person. You know, you can be rich from your W-2 job. You know, there are people who get paid lots of money just working for somebody. So you don't necessarily have to be this amazing, all great, and you know, extremely smart individual to be rich. No, rich is a perception. It means you have more money than anybody else. But wealth means that you have accumulated mass amounts of assets, okay? And those assets last for a while. Okay, they last for a long time. So wealth is a long-term strategy. Everything we're talking about tonight is long-term strategy. Getting rich quick can happen. It just doesn't last long. You can be rich today, broke tomorrow. Have you ever heard the stories of the people who are lottery winners, right? They'll win the lotto, win hundreds and millions of dollars, and in 2 years, flat broke. Those stories absolutely amaze me, right? Oh man, Mo in Maryland, appreciate you joining the show, says Chris Rock, and he did say this, NBA players are rich, right? The ones signing their checks are wealthy. Perfect example. I tell my kids that all the time. I'm like, man, if you think he rich, Shaq, right? Like my son, who is his favorite player, right? And I think it's KD. I would say, if you think he rich, can you imagine how much money the man who's signing his check, like, ain't nobody going to pay you more than they getting paid. Not going to happen. So definitely, and again, I'm about to put this, I'm going to send this on here so we'll see it. Right? NBA players are rich, the ones signing their checks are wealthy. Absolutely, absolutely correct. But again, if being wealthy is a mentality, and the only difference between being wealthy and being rich is a choice. That's it, right? It's a mentality that we must embrace. And the only difference between being rich, being wealthy, or let me say being poor, rich, versus being wealthy is a choice. However, I think the difference is because it's a choice, but I think us who are trying to reach wealth, we don't accumulate it because we don't know what choices are available to us, right? We don't have those financial conversations at the dinner table that the wealthy has. So we didn't hear of these terms. We didn't hear of these options growing up. When we talk to our friends, we don't hear about it. When we listen to our music, we don't hear about it. When we're looking at media and TV, we don't hear about these choices. So we don't know that these choices are available, which is why I'm going to pull up a tax return and we are going to understand what choices are available to us. So now we can make the right choices when we come to choosing. Because remember, it is a choice, choosing where we place our money. Well, I do my what? Oh, I'm looking for one here. All right, so let's. Brian Espinoza asks, do I believe in investing in precious metals? To a certain degree, Brian, yes. And we'll kind of talk about that as we go through here. So let me go ahead and get to the core of what we're talking about. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys. Let me put the desktop on here. Here is the 1040. The 1040 to the 2019, the most current one. Let me kind of blow it up a little bit here so we can see. Again, the extremely wealthy files the same exact form as those who are in poverty. The extremely wealthy file a 1040 U.S. individual tax return at the end of the day. Yes, corporations and businesses, they file separate returns, but at the end of the day, the extremely wealthy file the same exact return. They're going to put their first name here. If they're married, the spouses, their address, they have social security numbers, the spouses, if they have dependents, everything just like you and I is going to be on this return. But what I want to focus on when we're talking about understanding wealth and and understanding the terms, for the most part, most of us, when we file a tax return, may have a number here on line 1, right? We may have a number here. Then we might have a number here on this line. Sometimes we may have a number here if we have bank interest, something $10, something small or something like that. But that's on average the 3 lines that we use on a tax return, on average, okay? This isn't speaking on everybody generally, but on average, those are the 3 lines that we use on the tax return. So let's look at these lines, and I'm going to go from lines 1 to line 7A and talk about that. So let's look at the first line here. This is your wages, salaries, and tips from a Form W-2, okay? That is your regular day-to-day job. That's what you do. You get up, you go to work 9 to 5, 9 to 9, whatever. That's what that line represents. That's something that we all do. Not we all, but we're pretty much used to it. We've done it before. Common, okay? Then there's this line, the interest. Now I'm gonna tell you now. Let me put myself back on the screen. Here's where I want you to get your pen and paper. Get ready to write some things down because I'm only going to briefly explain what these are. It is going to be up to you to do further research on how you can put your money in this vehicle and make it work best for you, because every budget is different, every household requirement is different, every financial situation is different. So this is a very general, very broad introduction to these different type of wealth tools, okay? So getting back to it, the interest, notice, if we look, we can put entries here, we can put entries here. The entries that are to the left in this box right here from 2A, 3A, 4A, 4C, and 5A, these are special calculated type of income. The income that is in here is either going to not be included in tax, or it's going to have a special tax calculation. For example, tax exempt interest, right? This type of interest, if it's exempt, it goes here. If it's taxable, it goes here. So there is, and this is the thing I'm talking about, there is a type of interest that you do not pay tax on. Okay? Something we did not know. Something that wasn't made known to us. But there is a type of interest that you do not pay tax on. And that type of interest, here's why I want you to write it down, is called a U.S. Treasury bond. Okay? Kind of like the Series I or Series EE bonds. Those types of interest is exempt from federal tax. Let me be clear on that. It is exempt from federal tax. Okay? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm completely screwing this around. U.S. Treasury bonds are exempt from state tax. Okay? It's like the federal is big brother, the state is little brother, and they came together and they had an agreement. The federal says, look, little bro, any interest that I put or I give, you don't tax. Cool. And the state turned around and said, fine. Well, any interest that I give, you won't tax. Okay? So in that interest, if you have a tax exempt interest, you are dealing with what's called a municipal bond. Okay? We're talking about bonds here. Bonds, actual offer interest. So what you want to research for this term is a bond, a B-O-N-D. The bond that is exempt from federal tax is called a municipal bond. If you get interest from a municipal bond, you do not pay federal tax on it. It is one of them, as of this recording, it is one of them agreements that the federal has with the state. Municipal bonds are issued by the state. Treasury bonds are issued by the federal. So let me clarify this because I know I messed up in the beginning. Municipal bonds issued by the state are not taxable to the federal. Treasury bonds issued by the feds are not taxable to the state. And depending on the state that you live in, California, for example, California does not tax its own municipal bonds. So if you had a California municipal bond and it matured and you got interest from it, well, California's not taxing it, and neither is the feds. So it's a tax-free investment. Yes, truly amazing. I know if you are in different states, definitely check with your state to see if they tax their own municipal bonds. If not, it's a great thing to do. Municipal bonds are something that the state issues because they want to raise money for a project. Say, for example, if they wanted to build a new school in a neighborhood, well, they will issue municipal bonds, which investors can then invest in them. And then once everything is done, you'll get your money back plus the interest. And again, if your state doesn't tax it, that's tax-free money. That is one thing to understand. And the same with treasury bonds. They're not taxed by the state. So you save money on that instance. The feds will tax them, but they're not taxed by the state. So it's still a savings of money, right? And treasury bonds were very popular back in the day. You ever watch like in the 60s, early 70s when grandma would come and it's your birthday and she would, and you were expecting a big gift because here come grandma and you like, oh yeah, grandma gonna give me a gift. And then she walk in the door with this treasury bond. You're like, oh yeah, I bought you a treasury bond. Here you go, say this. And you're like, I want this, what is this? But 30 years later, when that treasury bond matured, and now was paying out, and you like, oh, thank you, Granny. Gotta love Granny, right? That's what that is. But those type of gifts don't happen in the minority communities. But we're going to change that, right? We're going to start looking into treasury bonds, and we're going to buy them. We're going to get used to this. We're going to put our money in things that can grow, all right? Let me go ahead and get back to the desktop. Next one, dividends. Notice there's two types of dividends. There's a qualified dividend. There is what's called an ordinary dividend. Qualified dividends are taxed very differently, but qualified dividends, obviously, the term means that they qualify for something, right? Versus an ordinary dividend, we're just going to put that here. Now, this is where we see a lot of wealthy people have a lot of numbers in these two boxes: tax exempt interest and qualified dividends. Well, what is a dividend? Let me explain what a dividend is. A dividend is something you can get either from a mutual fund or for a corporation. Those are the two entities that issue dividends: mutual funds, corporations. And if we look at it in a realistic perspective, just basic, a dividend is a commission. You own a certain percentage of something, and when that amount pays, say for example, if you own 10% of Apple, right, which is not going to happen, but let's just say, hopefully, you say you own 10% of Apple. If Apple decides to issue a dividend, well, whatever Apple made that year, hundreds of billions of dollars, you will get 10% of that in the form of a dividend, okay? And a lot of the dividends come by way of stocks, okay, but they also come by way of other things there. Mutual funds is kind of another way, but a dividend represents your share of the company or mutual fund's profit. Now, what makes a dividend qualified is the fact that there's three rules that the IRS says in order for a dividend to be qualified. Three things must happen. It must be from a U.S. company or a qualified foreign company. It must not be on the IRS list, meaning that the IRS has a list of dividends that they automatically said are not qualified, and that it must meet the holding period. Now, a holding period is different. It differs for dividends, right? And it all depends on whether the stock is common, whether it's preferred. There's a lot of things. So I want you to do the research. I want you to take these terms, know what they are, find one that works best for you, test it out. But as long as it's held for the proper amount holding period, that dividend will be considered qualified. Well, you asking, well, what is it qualified for, Uncle Cousin? Well, that's a good question. Let me answer it. It is qualified to receive special tax treatment, specifically capital gains tax treatment. And we haven't gotten to capital gains. I'm definitely going to get to that, as it is part of the actual income. But keep that in mind. May put an asterisk next to capital gains, and we'll see why capital gains is loved by the ultra wealthy. So let me go ahead and get back to it here. All right, so we understand dividends. Write that down. The next one is IRA distribution, okay? And again, the reason that the IRA, some of it may not be taxable, why it won't be here, because if you put your own money into an IRA, you've created a basis, and because that's money that's already been taxed, when you take it out, it should not be taxed again. That's what IRA can be here. But IRAs can also be used as a tool for accumulating wealth. For the most part, we know IRAs to be individual retirement arrangement, okay? IRA, not IRA, right? I know we pronounce that IRA, but it stands for IRA, individual retirement arrangement. So the idea of an IRA, we put money, it's a savings account, but we put money into this IRA, and the IRA, the financial individual who's in charge of the IRA uses that money to invest, and it's supposed to be returning a higher yield interest as opposed to a regular savings account. But there is something called a self-directed IRA. That's another one I want you to write down. A self-directed IRA. And what that allows you to do, instead of having somebody manage the IRA for you, you're managing it yourself, okay? You decide what you're going to invest, the funds that are inside the IRA. You're in charge of what it's going to invest in. So some people are like, can I use my IRA to open a business? If you have a self-directed IRA, Yes, you can. The IRA will invest in the business, and if the business grows, the profit from the business goes to the IRA. Difference, it does not go to you. The profits from the business that the IRA invested in goes back to the IRA. And if you take a distribution from an IRA, it's going to be like you would any other IRA or 401k. There's going to be an early penalty on that. There's going to be taxes on that. So the idea of a self-directed IRA is to invest. Again, everything here is long-term, okay? You want to invest in the business or invest in real estate, and whatever profits are made from that, it accumulates in the IRA. And now you have these additional funds that's growing because it's self-directed. You can take those additional funds, repeat the process, invest in another business, invest in more real estate, do this, do whatever you want to, because it is a self-directed IRA, okay? And so different types of IRAs, we talk about Roth IRAs is also included in that. Those are different, but definitely put an asterisk next to self-directed IRA, because that is what we want to make sure that we are investing in. So let me check here. Let's go back to the screen here. Trying to rush through this because I want to make sure we'll be able to answer some questions and things like that. All right, so pensions and annuities. These, to me, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on what a pension and annuity is, because a pension is something that comes from either an insurance policy or an old job like Boeing, right? Boeing used to be the one that offered some great pensions and things like that. If you know people who ever worked for Boeing, they have some amazing pensions. A lot of time they're making more money in retirement than they're actually making when they were actually working. So yeah, we can kind of just skip that one here. Social Security benefits, something that happens when we retire. Hopefully there will be enough in the Social Security pot when we retire, because I don't want to say what I'm not going to say, because I don't want to plant that seed. But Social Security is a system where, you know, the amount that we're paying now, either whether you're self-employed, if you pay self-employment tax, you pay Social Security and Medicare. Whether you are W-2, you see that on your W-2, Social Security and Medicare. So the amount that we're paying into now is currently funding the individuals that are receiving it now, right? So we're paying that, but hopefully the cycle is when we retire, the individuals who are paying for it when we retire will be paying for us, and vice versa. So that's generally how Social Security benefits works. Not really a wealth type of thing. Most of the wealthy, honestly, don't collect Social Security benefits. If you're extremely wealthy, your retirement does not really come for Social Security benefits. Your retirement comes from all of the other investment things that you've done here: tax-exempt interest, qualified dividends, self-directed IRAs. When you're wealthy, those are the things that we hear. So we want to have income on this line, right? We want to have income. Well, no, because we don't want to take that money out. Let me back that out. Because when we have a self-directed IRA, we want to leave that money in there untouched until we're ready to take it out at a specific interval once we reach retirement age and do that. Social Security, we can think about maybe. But now let's have fun. Let's get to the big one. Here it is. Capital gain. For a majority of the wealthy, capital gains is the biggest stream, okay? One of. I'm going to just say one of. And the reason capital gains is probably one of the biggest stream, because capital gains is, what's the word I'm looking for? Capital gains is more associated with real estate. When you hear capital gains, the wealthy automatically thinks real estate, because that's what capital gains, for the most part, derive from. And how a capital gain works is, you say, for example, you invest $100, and then maybe a year later you sell it for $1,000. Okay, so the difference between $100 and $1,000 is $900. Okay, that difference between you accumulated $900. That is called a capital gain. Capital is another word for money. You've gained $900, so you've money gained, you capital gain. That is the capital gain. That's all capital gain is the difference between what you paid for it and what you sold it for if there's a profit. But here's the thing about capital gains. This is why the wealthy love it and the people who don't understand wealth hate it. Because if done properly, capital gains has a max of 3 tax brackets. And this is why the wealthy love it. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm going off the top here. I know capital gains can be taxed at 0%. Yes, I said that right. You can have a $900 capital gain and not pay one dime on it, because capital gains can be taxed at 0%. I do believe this either 0, 15, and 20. And that 15 is, of course, because it could be the 15 or 10. But 0, 15, or 20. I'm going to say 15. If I'm wrong, forgive me. But here's the deal. If you're, and the rate you're taxed at on the capital gain is determined by your overall tax bracket. So if you are in the 10% tax bracket and you have capital gains, you pay 0 tax on that capital gain. Okay. If you are in a higher tax bracket, say for example, if you are in a, 20% tax bracket, well, the max you'll pay on that capital gains is 15%. That's why people love it, because the capital gains is always going to be taxed lower than what your actual tax bracket is. If you are extremely wealthy, making $1 million plus, which puts you in a 39% tax bracket, well, your capital gains is maxed, going to be taxed, or is capped at 20%. You only pay 20%, not your current tax bracket, but whatever that rate is. Now, there is an additional 3.8% that'll be added to that 20% for the net investment tax, which is for the extremely wealthy. If a lot of your income is from net investments, then there's a 3.8 additional tax. But still, 23.8% capital gains tax compared to your regular 39 point whatever percent tax bracket is still a savings. And here's why the uneducated, the ones who don't understand wealth, don't like capital gains. Because they'll see somebody who has all this money, millions and millions of dollars, and be mad that he doesn't pay tax. And I'm like, don't be mad at him. He's only doing what's allowed to be done within the tax system. So it's a strategy. It can happen. People have done it. We look at Mitt Romney. He made all this money, didn't really pay a dime. Capital gains tax. If your entire living was from capital gains and you had no other income, that means your overall tax bracket is 0 or within at least 10%. You pay 0 tax on capital gains. Now, I don't want us to get too excited. All right, we don't want to go out and immediately try and invest every dollar we have in a capital gain. That is a very serious strategy, and that is a very long-term strategy, okay? You just can't, off the gate, invest in the real estate and live off the transactions. You have to build up to that. You have to be able to put strategies in place. You have to be able to plan long-term funnels. How are you going to live off these? Because remember, it's from the actual sale of an asset. Just buying real estate and renting it out, that's not really a capital gain. It's rental income. That's something different. You have to buy and sell, okay? Capital gains also comes from stock sales. So, for example, if you bought stock in Apple when it first came on the market, you bought it for $1 a share, right? Now that Apple is worth billions of dollars, that stock you bought for $1 a share is now worth, $1,000 a share. And you sell it Well, guess what? That's a capital gain. So that's also where the wealthy get their income from, the sale of stock trade, which is why people love the stock market. But it's interesting, when we think about wealth, the only two things we think about, real estate, the stock market. But as I just demonstrated, there's a lot of other lines on here that we can accumulate wealth from. So we have to diversify ourselves. We have to have conversations with our friends. We have to have conversations with our children. I love having conversations around finance with my children. I like to see the progression with them. But, and I say that because I'm saying all it takes is a conversation, okay? All it takes is a conversation. Have the conversation with your family. You will see them start to learn, start to develop, start to understand. And when they get adults, they'll understand. It'll be better for them. Just have the conversation. If you don't have nobody to have a conversation with, let me know. We'll figure something out. We can have a conversation. But a conversation around finances must happen, and it must happen often, okay? But back to the capital gain, okay? And I just realized that I put the dollar signs on the wrong line. It should be on line 6. Anyway, made a mistake. Capital gains. We really want to focus on that because if you can get it right, if you can make enough money to live off of and have nothing else coming in at the time, again, in the background, you still want to have your tax exempt interest coming in. You still want to have your qualified dividends, things that don't get taxed coming in, right? You still want to have that self-directed IRA happening because that's money accumulating in the background. You're not going to pay taxes on that until you start taking distributions. But if done right, you'll take a distribution later and we won't even worry about that. So that's how you can keep your income under 10% while accumulating these capital gains and then pay zero tax on the money. Jeez, that's why people love capital gains. Real quick, let me see some comments here. What do we have here? MA Mac P718, great work explained. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for being here watching. Glad that y'all are really getting in here. Let's see here. We have another question from Facebook. All right, so Dallas Desperado, do wealthy people still collect Social Security just to be greedy? And you know what? Depending on how they set up, right? We know greed is a part of our society. Greed happens. So it wouldn't shock me if there were some wealthy people collecting Social Security because some of their wealth isn't being reported. So I really wouldn't be worried about that right there. Okay, let's see here. Oh, man, my man, Mr. Kelly in the building. So good. Now, this guy should be on here with me talking about finance. He's a finance person. He understands finance and how this all works. So definitely, Mr. Kelly, man, I'm glad you're here. Good to see you. We definitely got to hook up. And let's see here. Let me get this one. Somebody is asking, what's a good $40,000 investment? I mean, based on everything that we just talked about, you can, with strategy, put your $40,000 somewhere up in here, okay? Whether that's a tax-exempt interest, investing in stocks to get that qualified dividend, setting up something in a self-directed IRA to invest it, capital gains, anything of that nature is extremely good to invest $40,000, right? Alternatively, you can give it to me. I don't know if I would invest it, but I'll take it. Man, so yes. Let me continue on because we got about 12 minutes here. So last on the list is let me show the screen. Last on the list is where I should have put the money at originally, right here on line 7A. Note it says other income from Schedule 1, line 9. So let's look at the Schedule 1. And this is just a supplemental form by the IRS. But what we want to look at is these three lines here. The business income, other gains from a 4797, rental real estate, and maybe farm income, if you own McDonald's and you got a farm. So business income. Line 3. This is what a lot of us are here for because we are self-employed. This line represents ownership, okay? The wealthy own things, okay? That is the thing. But what they own appreciates in value. It does not depreciate. We have to understand the difference between appreciation versus depreciation. Understanding that will help you make choices when it comes to your journey of wealth accumulation. So, ownership. A lot of us are self-employed, want to be self-employed. Well, that's where businesses come in. Business is a wonderful thing. Whether you're small or large, it is good to own a business. Ownership is good, but ownership is one of them things where you can be an owner in two ways. You can actually be the owner, the one doing everything, or you can be the investor, right? Kind of like the Shark Tank. Half them guys right now, they do work, but they're working on their investments. They're not working in the actual business. They put money in it, so they wanted to make sure that money grows, so they're having other teams manage and do everything, but they're investing, right? They're not the business owner. They're an investor in the business. So there's two ways you can have ownership, and we'll kind of get into that slightly later. The next one, line number 4, let me go back to it. Line number 4 here is gains or losses from 4797. Now, 4797 is the form where you actually report the sale of a real estate, especially if it was a rental. Before it was, you converted it into something else, or if it was a personal property, then you converted it into a rental, then you sold it. Those type of gains. There's a lot of other things, collectibles, some other things that get reported on the 4797. But the form 4797 is for a, oh my God, I can't think of the name right now. But it's definitely for when you get rid of your business assets. I couldn't think of the term. It slips my mind right now. Starts with a D, know that. But 4797 says that you've got rid of assets. It's not just real estate. You could have sold machinery that you used in your business. You could have sold a vehicle that you use in your business. Could have sold a computer that you use in your business. It is disposition. That's the word I was looking for. 4797 is for the disposition of business assets. Use it anytime you dispose of anything used in your business that results in a capital gain. Remember, if it's a capital gain, it qualifies for that special capital gains treatment. Okay. And again here, income. Now this is not, I'm sorry, let me share the screen. This is not capital gains income, but it is from rental real estate, royalties, partnerships, S corporation, trusts. Okay. Note that line. This income line 5, you can get this from owning rental property. You can get this from a royalty. Again, there's a term that we need to put an asterisk next to. What is a royalty? How do I get it? How do I accumulate it? Because that is something else that the wealthy has in their portfolio. They get money from royalties. Again, this one here, the partnership and the S Corp and the trust. Well, so the partnership and the S Corp goes to ownership, owning a business, and trusts. That's wow, man. Trust. I think we need to have that in a whole separate communication. I am in love with the idea of owning a trust. When we talk about generational wealth, like when I die, I want to leave my family, I want to leave my great grandkids something to make them wealthy. A trust is the vehicle that I use to achieve that. We wonder how wealth, especially an extremely wealthy, how does their money continue to accumulate? How does it continue to get passed down? And you have these kids who never worked a day in their life, but they have all these riches and they have all these things. A trust. We've heard it in movies, I think even in Bad Boys. Will Smith was the beneficiary of a trust. He was a trust fund baby, but he decided to be a cop. Right? So we've heard the term, but we've never really looked into it. We just thought it was something that the wealthy do. No, we can do it too. Right? Man, I think I'm going to find an expert and we'll do a whole thing on trust right then and there. And then lastly, the farm income, if you're a McDonald's, you have a farm, that is the same as having a regular business, except for it is the business of agriculture. We have to appreciate those who do farms, right? Because we eat fruits, we eat vegetables. For those of us who eat meat, we ain't out there picking it. We ain't out there growing it, right? So it's the farmer. So that right there, if you own a farm, is the absolute same as ownership, okay? So those 4 lines will add up, and then they will translate over here to line 7A. So if done right, eventually we will have income on all these lines here. Pensions and annuities, Social Security, capital gains, especially, I'm going to put, because this is where we want the most of our money to be, just because of that capital gains tax rule, right? Also, if we could, we want a lot of our money here in the qualified dividends, because it also gets treated the same as a capital gain. All right. Whew, all right, back to me. Let me get some water. I didn't talk a lot. My voice is raspy. Oh, man, let's see. Make sure I didn't miss anybody here. Sending some, my man Kelly Gray Show channel. Yes. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Well, I guess it's too late now. I should have said it in the beginning. But make sure if you're on Facebook, drop a like. Make sure you share this. Because, again, we want to be able to have conversations within our circle. If we cannot have proper financial conversations in our circle, we shouldn't be in that circle. I'm just saying, right? When we talk about wealth, there is a certain type of communication that happens within the circle of the wealthy. And if you can't have that conversation in your circle, just either consider getting out or forming a separate circle on the side. Like, have a side circle. Like, you got a side hustle, have a side circle that you'll have that conversation in. So definitely. What else here? Somebody says, who is this? Brown Sugar Baby 083 says, do I think in the current economic situation, it is a good time to start investing in stocks, or it cut off at REA, but I'm assuming it meant real estate? Yes. One thing has proven through history, when we look at historical data, our economy falls, it rises, right? And in that fall and rise, the wealthy stay wealthy, okay? And certain smart individuals become wealthy. So what we want to do is be that smart individual that in any economic downturn, we do our research, do our due diligence, make the right moves, and become wealthy when it turns back over. Because it's always a cycle. Real estate has a cycle. The stocks have a cycle. Businesses have a cycle. There's the life cycle, right? Everything has a cycle. You just want to make sure that you, again, do your due diligence, do your research, get in on the right time, put your money into something that is going to benefit you, and you'll be good to go. So here we are, 3 minutes left. Man, so glad that everybody's here, both Facebook and YouTube. This is great. I'm happy to try it. Hopefully this turned out well. Let's see what else here. So real quick before we go, let me give this disclaimer, because I just really want to make sure this out there. Even though I introduced you to new terms that you may not have heard of, you honestly cannot take that as financial advice, and here's why. Everybody's situation is different. I gave a very blanketed demonstration, introduced you to some terms, but it was a very blanketed statement. If you are serious about the things that we talked about tonight, then make sure that you go talk to somebody who's in finance, right? And don't talk to somebody just because they work for a financial company. There's a lot of people that are employed for these major finance companies. Do your research on the person you're talking to. How is their finances, right? How is they're leaving? How was their investment? If they're not willing to share that as proof, then you might want to move on to somebody else. But in full disclaimer, don't take this as financial advice. Take this as a financial insight. Financial, just like aha moment, right? Go out there, do your due diligence, do your research, and get with some money, okay? Like I said, for those who are here for the first time, man, so glad that you are here. Consider subscribing if you like this kind of content. Hit the bell icon to get notified when I go live. Same on Facebook. You can follow me there. Hit the like, share it. Make sure we get this out there because we want to have financial conversations within our circle. Let's see, what else? Next week, I am going to... We're going to go live. I'm going to go live next week for sure. But next week content is going to be something I consider premium content. And I say that because I'm not going to re-air it. Like as soon as the live is ended, I'm deleting it because it's premium content. But it's something that I've been getting asked a lot about. And that is dealing with corporations, LLCs. LLCs being taxed as S corps, the best strategy, how it works. Kind of going to go real deep into that. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure that, again, if you subscribe, hit the bell so you'll get notified. If you're new here, subscribe, hit the bell, get notified. If on Facebook, make sure you like the page so you can get notified. Because once I hit the end on that stream, it's been deleted. Because to me, there's premium content. That is something that I have inside my course. But for those who have been here with me for the full 9 weeks, I want to make sure that I actually give something back. And we go from there. So let's see here. Let's say here, Strength from Within. I definitely appreciate it. Says been sharing straight out the gate. Appreciate you. Consider me a resource. Again, man, I think all of you for doing what it is that you do. Because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here, wouldn't have the encouragement to do what I'm doing. But it's really definitely all of you guys. So yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking else. But Strengthfulness says, will this one be able to be saved? Yes. This one I want you to share. Again, I want you to share it with your friends, family. Have a conversation. If you have children, if you have loved ones that you want to see be successful, share it with them. Have a conversation with them. I am really trying to get my kids to allow me to record our sessions because every Friday we have my wife. What is it? Family Financial Friday, something like that. I made up a term with him, and it's very interesting to see their reaction to it. But every Friday night, we have financial conversations steamed around everything from assets, liabilities, equity, same thing we just talked about, looking at a tax return, understanding what's important, budgeting, all of this stuff. And I'm trying to really get them to let me record them. And so maybe we can make it some kind of show and then, because I think if other kids see other kids involved and they'll get involved. I don't know. Just something I'm thinking about, but we'll see. If I can convince my kids, we'll do it. And yeah, I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. Radia, always late to the show, better late than never. Welcome. Man, so what's on you guys' mind? I mean, it's 7:00. We have pretty much reached the end of the show. That's all I had to say. Share with you. And off the top of my head, yeah, man, it's Friday, 9th week. Remember, success is hard. Being broke is harder. We want to be extremely successful. Do what you got to do. Get it any way you can. I think that's just going to be something I say. Just get it by any means necessary. Get it. All right? Oh, Brown Sugar said it's 10 for you. Wow. You stayed up this late looking at me. Man, fist bump to you. That's wonderful. Again, y'all know I love you. Really, truly love you. Appreciate you being here. You being here says a lot, means a lot. says a lot about your character, says a lot about your desires, says a lot about where you're going in life. So take this information. Hopefully you've written it down. If you didn't write the information down, go back, take a look at the replay. If you're looking at the replay, pause in between. Make sure you write down, get everything, all of those terms. And yeah. I'm going to go ahead and end it, and we'll see y'all again. Remember, next week, I'll probably give y'all a 24-hour reminder, but we definitely going to be talking about going deep into S Corps, LLCs, corporations, partnerships, what we can and cannot do with them, the benefits of them. But that one is not going to be available for replay, because once the stream ends, I'm deleting it. All right? So, man, again, I probably didn't said it enough, but to everybody, I thank you. I love you for joining me. Make sure that you follow me on Instagram, follow me, YouTube, Facebook, all social media, as I keep getting updates. And I'll update you there. But until then, man, y'all have a great, blessed evening. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe. Stay home. Stay healthy. And I will see y'all next week.